Welcome to another training. This is a team training that we do every Tuesday at 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It concentrates on different parts of the business components of our model, as well as things like professional development to help you both with the model as well as yourself attain the type of success and rewards that you're looking for from this industry, as well as our agency and our business model. Last week, not last week, because it was a travel week for us. We were at the money conference, but the week before that, I always like to review very quickly, help you guys understand what we did during that time. It was the 4 pillars to business mastery. Plan your way to peak performance. Follow the people that know how to do this. And peak performers, high performers, they will perform at a level that the average and low performers only dream about, but it's not a pipe dream to go from a low performer or an average performer to a high performer, as long as you know what it is that you guys are doing, what you're trying to accomplish, and how to avoid the typical pitfalls, like I said, that average and low performers fall into. So that's what we did a couple weeks ago. This week, I think I've got a really good training for you guys. It's all about the gamble of recruiting and the age-old question, is this real? Can you really build a legitimate agency through recruiting? There's so many network marketing opportunities, MLM, insurance agencies. So whether it's in our industry or out of our industry, there's a lot of different people recruiting. And there's a lot of people that get recruited into things that don't work, or they have to buy a bunch of products or do this or do that and spend a bunch of money. But what I want to tell you guys is that um, actual recruiting is a skill set. So let me let some people in here, and then we'll get back to what we were discussing. So we're going to answer that question. Can you really build a legitimate agency through recruiting? Because a lot of people in this day and age, they think that you can't. So when we look at recruiting, we look at it through different eyes. And I want you guys to understand, is recruiting really a gamble? Is it just like rolling the dice at the craps table? Or is it a legitimate way to build a real long-standing business that has foundation, that has distribution, scalability, growth, everything that you guys are looking for to build that legacy for yourself, be that person maybe in your family that, creates the wealth for the family line, wherever you are, whatever you're trying to do, whatever your personal mission or goal is, we're going to answer this question today. Risk reward is always something both in your professional and personal life you want to evaluate. As we're younger, we have a misconception of reward and risk. As we get older, we start to understand it a little bit more. And once we do, we can make better decisions, take less risks, get better rewards, hopefully. So what does this really mean for us in this conversation today? Well, we're talking about high potential rewards versus the real risk if not done right. Remember, you can work smart or you can work hard. You need to be hardworking, but you need to work smart. And when we say this, what we're trying to tell is get rid of the roadblocks, obstacles, pitfalls that other recruiters fall into so that you can understand how to successfully recruit. Because let's face it, most people you talk to won't join. And quite honestly, guys, you don't want everybody to join. Everybody that can fog a mirror, you don't want to come in your agency because you have to spend time, energy, resources, helping them, training them, coaching them, supporting them. Are they worth your time? Now, don't prejudge based on a number of set factors, but learn how to disqualify them. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Even fewer of those people that actually come in will stick around long term. That's why it can feel on the outside of the surface level like a gamble. Recruiting is really about just playing the odds smart. If you know the probabilities, you can build systems to improve them. And that's where we go back to the numbers. If you know your numbers, you know your business, and you can understand what's going wrong, what's going right, throw fuel on the fire of what's going right to create that scalability. But let's say, for example, maybe only 1 in 10 serious conversations become a solid recruit. Sorry about that, guys. We had somebody unmute. That sounds tough, but if you double the number of quality conversations, you actually double your results, not the number of conversations, the number of quality conversations, you double your results. And if you improve your messaging, if you improve your follow-up, and if you improve your training, you change those odds actually in your favor. So There's people that go to Las Vegas that are just tourists and they throw down their money, whatever happens. There's also professional gamblers that put the odds in their favor. What I'm trying to teach you guys is that you don't want to go out there and have a blanketed approach to recruiting. It should be systematic and it should have a framework and a blueprint for success. And that's what I want to talk about today. How to make recruiting predictable, scalable, and profitable. If you do this and you can teach other people how to do it, my gosh, you guys have an enormous amount of opportunity. This is a multi-trillion dollar industry. It's very lucrative if you know what you're doing, but it can also, chew you out, chew you up, spit you out, and not think twice about it. So, how do we make recruiting predictable, scalable, and profitable? Let's talk about probability. Typical probabilities in recruiting. Conversion rates in most industries, only about 10 to 20% of serious recruiting conversations actually lead to someone joining. In our industry, it's probably a little bit less because of a number of things, including the need to get licensed. Out of those that join, only 30-50% may remain active beyond the first 3 to 6 months if they don't have the right support. Our industry numbers are a little bit lower than that. I'm talking about our numbers, industry numbers. You guys have to know what you're facing, have to know the mountain that you're trying to go up, and how to know how to get up to that mountain faster by alleviating the problems that most recruiters fall into because they don't understand things that we're going over today. The attrition rates, most new recruits, they never fully engage. And if you guys have been doing this for a while or have recruited into financial service agencies, you understand this. And that's why you can't get emotional about this. If somebody comes in that you're really excited about because they've told you all the great things they've done in the past, but they don't do anything, and that affects your emotions and your ability to build your business, that means you're not going on data. You're going on emotion. And when you have things like panic management coming up in your business, you never make good decisions about your business. So you need to understand, the attrition rates could be due to lack of training, lack of motivation, or mismatched expectations. What could we do better? We can train them better. We can't motivate them. And we know we need to be upfront with people. Don't mismatch expectations to get a number on the board for somebody coming in your business. We don't get paid to recruit. We get paid to be a talent scout and bring in people that can help our business. Knowing this reality prevents disappointment. It's part of the process. Know your numbers, know what you're up against, and then do things to better the probability of converting not just solid recruits, but recruits that are actually going to, do something in your business and help themselves, help you, help the agency, and help the client. The reality of scaling, if you have 10 quality conversations, you may get one new recruit. If you want 3 recruits a month, you likely need 30 plus strong conversation. The numbers work when you work the numbers. You have to know your numbers and you have to work your numbers. I'm not saying these are the exact numbers, and everybody's going to be different depending on your skill set, the ability to follow things like scripts, mastering the art of communication. So you're going to get better and better and better at this. But if these were the numbers and you're trying to bring in X amount of recruits per month or per year, and you don't do the necessary things like have enough conversations, well, that means it gets longer and longer and longer and longer to build the agency that you actually want. Do you want to build it in a year? Do you want to build it in 10 years? I mean, how much time do you want to spend building this? Because you control the throttle. You're pressing the accelerator pedal. You may be going 30, 60, 90. That's going to be up to you. But the speed of this and the amount of conversations that you have is going to either help you create this agency quickly, or it's going to hinder you from building the agency quickly. And if you get put in a position where your agency is not getting built quick enough, you're going to start to think about, hey, can I do this? Is this the right place for me? The industry is not really rewarding me in a way that I thought it would be. You're going to drift and quit. So fix yourself and then fix other people. Part of fixing yourself and fixing other people is helping them understand the reality of what we do and how to increase the speed of getting this agency built. Why does recruiting sometimes feel like a gamble? Well, I mean, it is a numbers game. Don't get me wrong, but most agents approach recruiting casually. They're just talking to a few people here and there, hoping for a home run or a grand slam. But most of the time, they're just striking out because they're not being systematic. There's no framework. There's no consistency to what they do. They focus on individuals. instead of the system. And that is a huge mistake. You're not focusing on the person you're talking to. In that moment, you're showing interest in them, asking questions, bringing up solutions to their problems. But overall, you're focused on the system. And if it's working, if it's not working, how to make it better for yourself and your partners. When somebody drops out, it feels personal instead of actual predictable. Because attrition is real, it's easy to feel discouraged and start thinking, hey, this isn't working. Recruiting doesn't work anymore. You can't build a business doing this. But I promise you, I'm here to tell you, it does work if you work it in a smart way. It's all about chance. No, it's all about chance versus structure, right? There's a big difference. You want to leave it to chance? What does that mean? Talking to whoever comes along. Now, I'm not saying don't bring up conversations in the walk of life, but you should be kind of pinpointed and have an understanding of who actually looking for inconsistent follow-up. That's leaving it to chance. Hey, haven't talked to this person in 60 days. The last thing I sent him was an email 2 months ago. Why don't I see if they might pick up my phone call? No tracking of what works or doesn't work. No matter what you're doing, you have to know your strengths, your weaknesses, what's working, what's not working, so that you understand what to pour fuel on, what's working, and what to kill, or what to edit or what to change to make sure that you get the nice flow. If you get communication flow going through your recruiting process, it's easier. Just start sorting people. It's the same thing we do from the client side, just a different conversation and a different reason that that person would, buy into your vision, come into your agency, make a difference in their lives, and the lives of the people that they encounter. The leaving it up to chance also means that your results are random and unpredictable. You can't really have somebody buy into a vision if you don't even know what you're doing. What are you trying to accomplish? How is it going? All of this stuff, if you do the things and not leave it up to chance, you're going to become someone who attracts better and better and better and talent. So don't leave it up to chance. Apply that structure. What does that mean? Knowing your numbers. How many conversations? How many recruits? What's the retention? If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. If you don't know your business, you're not going to have a business for very long. Having a clear follow-up rhythm. This means that you maybe got some automation, high tech, high touch sort of thing. It can't just be all automated. If that's getting somebody in the first moments of lead generation to take the next call to action or the action step, great. But if you think all automation is just going to do everything for you, you're going to have some stuff fall through the cracks. So having a clear follow-up rhythm, refining your messages to attract better fits. You know what works these days, guys? Short, really short messages, not these long things with a bunch of bullet points, but short messages, almost like text messages. If you're doing direct messages, if you're sending emails, it can't be too long if you want to get the recruiting process through these messages done. Clear, to the point, short, with an exciting call to action. And then building personas to target people more likely to succeed. If you have somebody come in and they don't work, why didn't they work? If you have somebody come in and they do, they're one of your core key partners, well, let's evaluate them. What's their persona? Why are they making a difference? Why were they successful when other people weren't? You're going to learn from your bad recruits as well as your good recruits. Personas based on past recruiting. Like I said, you will learn a lot in this business if you allow yourself to learn a lot in this business. And that means that you're looking and you're thinking what went right, what went wrong, who's doing it, who's not, and why. You got two lanes here of partner traits that you really need to be aware of. Remember, if you're identifying not people by their race or their sex, but by their character and their professional traits and a couple other things, you will find it's very easy to start sorting people in a manner that brings you success. So what do we mean? Well, it's just identifying common traits. Thrivers, those people who want to succeed. That's one of the questions I really want. Are you really looking to succeed? What's your motivation to succeed? That's what we're talking about. Yes, I want to know what you've done in the past, but I also am much more interested in what you're planning on doing in the future right now to build that future. So thrivers, who are those? They have strong internal motivation. It's more than just a paycheck. They're coachable and open to learning. Guys, if somebody's open to learning, they're going to be successful here. If they're unwilling to learn, you can't help them in any way. If they think they know everything or they just flat won't learn anything, you cannot help those people. And you are spending your time on somebody that's going to give you zero return. Align with the mission, helping people win the money game. If that's something that motivates people, great. Then they're in the right place at the right time to help us and help other people. Resilient when faced with setbacks. That's a big one, guys. When somebody comes up to an obstacle, roadblock, or setback, does it just completely annihilate their determination, motivation, grit, and they just fold up like a cheap lawn chair? Or do they overcome? And can they teach other people to overcome? Willingness to put in consistent activity. You don't get to the Hall of Fame by having one good season. You get to the Hall of Fame by having several consecutive good seasons. Same thing here. It's not a start and a stop business. If you have a partner that starts, stops, they're never going to gain any traction. Whatever you're doing, consistency, build it into a habitual routine, and that will get you the grit you need to see it to the finish line. Let's talk about the other side, those who don't stick. We call these people the dropouts. We want to avoid these people even coming in our agency, because the less time you spend with them, the more time you save for yourself that can be invested into something actually with a return. So driven only by quick money, not going to work, guys. They have to be motivated by more than money. Resistant to coaching or systems. Hey, I'm just going to do it my way. I don't care about what you guys do. No, well, that's waste of time, right? Lack of time management or discipline. If you have no time management, you have no organization, you have no discipline, you're not going to be able to fix yourself or fix other people. Probably not going to be successful in this business or really any business. Negative mindset are easily discouraged. This is a business of an entrepreneurial opportunity. Entrepreneurship is not a profession. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle. So I'm always thinking like an entrepreneur, trying to make things better for myself, my clients, and you guys. If you find other people like that, probably a good character trait that they will be successful. On the other side, they have that negative mindset, are easily discouraged by the first little thing that comes up, not going to be successful. And no real passion for helping people. Money cannot be the only reason, because that motivation, that money motivation, comes and goes depending on what day of the week or what day of the month or what day of the year it might be. Your ideal recruit. So this is what you want to concentrate on. Learn from the good recruits, learn from the bad recruits, but develop the personas of the people who you think can actually, based on data, make a difference for your agency, their clients, and themselves. Example number one, the ambitious professional. Age sometimes doesn't really matter. I talk to 25-year-olds that sound half dead. I talk to 70-year-olds that are still ready to go. So age, it's not a hard concrete age, but this is just an example. Background, maybe corporate sales, finance, something like that. Their motivation, they want freedom and growth beyond the corporate ladder. They're seeing they can only get so far in a W-2 environment, and they want to break upon that. Maybe build the bridge from W-2 to entrepreneurship. It's a great type of person to be talking to. Their values are achievement, independence, wealth building. Example number two, the mission-driven parent. Nothing is more driven than a parent trying to change the lives of their children. That's a big motivating factor. Age, once again, this is just an example. Background, maybe a teacher, nurse, coach, community role. Their motivation, they want to provide more for the family, have more time for their family. And their values are their family, the stability, making a difference. And then the third example here is the serial entrepreneur. You only really have to be right as an entrepreneur once. You're going to be wrong probably several times. However, the serial entrepreneur understands that. They may be 30 to 55, once again, not concrete ages. Their background may be business owner, small business operator, or just a straight up hustler. Their motivation is tired of running everything alone, looking for scalabilities, and they value the entrepreneurship, the lifestyle they have, the systems, the leverage, the legacy. These are three examples, not all the examples. You want to develop a persona that you are comfortable with, that you speak their language, and that you enjoy talking to. How can you make this better? One of the best ways to improve your recruiting success is by looking back at who has worked out and who hasn't. We talked about this several times during this training. What do your successful recruits actually have in common? Maybe they're motivated by the independence. Maybe they already have a background in financial services, or simply have a strong desire to help people. On the flip side, who dropped out quickly? Were they chasing the fast money? Were they reluctant to learn or afraid to change? Were they building these personas? Building these personas helps you stop wasting time on people who are unlikely to succeed. Once again, disqualify as quickly as possible. That's one of the major skill sets that when you learn that is going to save you time, save you energy, save you resources, that can be invested into other projects, people, or areas with a return. Focus on the people who actually make the right fit. And once again, this is not convincing people. This is offering people. This is education. This is opportunity. These are solutions to potential problems they might have. Who are we? We're talent scouts. And if you really understand that, you embrace that role, you can be extremely successful because I don't need infrastructure. I don't need money from you. I just need you to go out and identify people who you think can make a difference for your agency, their sales, their family. And once again, always thinking about the client as well. Recruiting is not convincing. Too many agents think recruiting means trying to sell, overpowering somebody on a conversation, like closing them into joining you. If you have to close somebody into joining your agency, either you haven't done a good job of explaining or going through the interview process, or you haven't done a very good job of sorting or disqualifying. When you sell somebody on an opportunity, what that creates is pressure resistance and burnout. You can burn out very easy in an industry like this because you can work extremely hard and not make any money. If you're not making any money, you're going to lose your motivation and ambition to keep doing it. True recruiting is not about pushing or convincing. It's about finding the right people who already align with what we do. You're not trying to make them. You're just identifying the ones that are already made into what we're looking for. Think of it this way, guys. A pro sports team doesn't beg players to join, right? They scout, they evaluate, and they draft the ones with potential. Now, does every top draft pick pan out? No. And you have to understand that going in. This is not straightforward. This is going to be, sometimes you bring in a second round pick that ends up being a star. Sometimes you bring in somebody that would be considered a lottery pick. They don't do anything, but the consistent activity and concentrating on what you control will help you. You are a talent scout on the recruiting side. And then why does being a talent scout, why does it matter and what does it really mean? Well, it means that you're identifying skills. You look for communication ability, you look for networking potential, you look for sales or teaching experience and leadership qualities. These are the things that you're looking for when you're going through LinkedIn or you're talking to people, or got, webinars, seminars, whatever it is that you're doing to try to build your business, you're identifying skills. That's what a talent scout does. And you're also spotting values. Do they value financial independence? Do they value helping others? Do they value building something bigger than themselves? And then also what we do as a talent scout is recognize potential. This is probably the biggest one. The other two important, but recognizing potential, uncovering potential where maybe other people haven't discovered it outside or internally within themselves, even if they've never been in financial services. Do they have the hunger to learn? Do they have the hunger and the grit to stick it out and the vision to see beyond that short-term gain? Do they have a 5-year plan? If somebody doesn't have a 5-year plan, probably a red flag leading indicator because they haven't thought, they don't have a vision. The vision is going to propel people motivation to take the action steps. Somebody doesn't have a vision, just like when we talk about the 12-week year, it's one of the most important parts. If your vision doesn't propel you, you're not done with your vision. So a talent scout really means identifying skills, spotting values, but overall, recognizing potential talent. You have to shift your mindset and your activities from chasing to qualifying. If you're chasing people on the client side, the partner side, it's an uphill battle, and you're going to get very tired of this very quickly. Chasing means trying to convince anyone who will listen, burning energy on people who really aren't a fit. That's a tiring, defeating experience, guys. You don't want to do that. Qualifying. You're just asking questions. You're listening closely and deciding if you want to take them on. If you're going to put time, energy, resources into this. Do they qualify for your time? Do they qualify for your mentorship? Do they qualify to use our system? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, you need to move on. Questions to ask as a talent scout. What motivates you right now in your career? Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? What would financial independence or flexibility mean for you and your family? If it's crickets or little to no answers or very shallow or surface area answers, probably not a person that's really dug down deep in themselves to figure out, what they want, what makes them happy, and what do they want to do from this point forward to make sure they achieve maximum happiness. Sometimes it can be as easy as just asking, you happy? A lot of people aren't happy with their lives, where they are professionally. so I can get the conversation going. I listened to a guy on the conference this weekend, and he recruits in two ways in the walk of life. He either starts with a compliment or a question, gets the conversation going. Some people don't want to talk, some people want to talk a lot, but you don't know who's looking just by, you know, your ability to judge the open public by looking at them. You have to ask questions. You have to get information from them. If their answers align, you definitely want to move forward. If not, what we call bless and release. Have a great day. Hope everything works out for you. Numbers game and the impact factors. Above all, you can do things to shift things in your way, but it's still going to be a numbers game, and these are the impact factors. The numbers game itself, once again, recruiting is still a numbers game. Recruiting at its core is statistical. Not everyone will say yes, but the typical conversion rates may look like 100 conversations equals 30 real prospects equals 10 presentations or discovery calls, whatever you want to call it, might equals 3 recruits, might equals 1 that sticks. If you are looking at these numbers, you say, I can't do this, or these numbers are too much for me, that's probably a leading indicator that maybe recruiting is not going to be your skill set. Maybe you need to find something else within the system to go out and master. But really, guys, I don't think that you can neglect or turn your back on recruiting. It's a skill set that you need to learn, because if you do other things, you can make some money, but it's going to be all, let's say you just want to do production. It's on your shoulders every single month. Yeah, you may build a little book of business that has some residual income, but it's on you every single month. You don't produce, you don't get paid. Here, building an agency, recruiting, now you're leveraging other people's time and efforts, which is a big thing to do. So know the numbers, know how to improve them, know how to make them better in your favor. The key is to keep the funnel full while also working to improve the ratio. So we don't want to just abandon everything and start looking at what we do in the process. You want to keep things going, keep that funnel full while also looking on how to improve things. How are you going to increase the odds? Well, the factors that improve your odds, well, better messaging. Clear, compelling invitations that highlight the mission, not just the money. We help people win the money game. Want to see how you can be part of that. You can also improve your odds with stronger systems. Use a repeatable process, not just randomness, guys, because that's not going to work for you. And when somebody asks, what do you do? And it's all random, it's not going to feel confident in your ability to lead them to the promised land, so to speak. So use a repeatable process like presentations, follow-ups, onboarding, so the prospects feel guided instead of lost. You want them to feel confident coming in, and then improved onboarding. Recruiting doesn't just stop the moment they come in. Recruiting continues weeks and even months after that for the right appropriate recruits. The faster and smoother new recruits get plugged into training and support, the more likely they are to stick. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So you can improve your odds, and you can also, on the reverse part of that spectrum, you can drop your odds. Well, how do you drop your odds here? Well, you don't want to obviously implement these things to drop your odds, but you need to be aware of what's going to drop your odds so you understand and can plug the holes and, kind of smooth over those bumps. How poor practices decrease odds, lack of follow-up. This is pretty easy to understand. If you're not following up, you're leaving things on the table. The more things you leave on the table, more things fall through the cracks. That's agency growth, that's revenue, that's income, that's money, that's legacy for you guys just sitting there because your lack of follow-up and consistency. Most recruits don't commit on their first conversation. If you don't follow up, you lose them. What about the wrong expectations? Overhyping. You're going to get rich fast. It's a business, guys. It's an entrepreneurial business. It's going to take hard work over X period of time to lead you to whatever you're trying to do. This is going to lead to disappointment and attrition and probably some bad user-generated content online about you and the opportunity because you weren't upfront with them. Be honest about the work that it takes and the potential rewards that it gets from putting that work in place. And then weak training. If recruits don't feel equipped, they're going to leave you quickly. A bad first 30 days often means a short-lived career. Remember, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. If your recruit doesn't feel good in that first 30 days, they're probably going to drift, quit, leave, and probably have not so nice things to say about you, us, our system, whatever it is they're talking about. Stay in the recruiting mindset. Entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. Recruiting is a mindset, and it's actually a lifestyle as well. Always be recruiting, ABR. If you're going to build a big agency, then you always want to be thinking about recruiting, thinking about partners, not in terms of just bringing them in, the right ones, the wrong ones. How do I help them? How do I build a better agency? How do I avoid those pitfalls? How do I capitalize on the ways to improve my odds? Recruiting isn't seasonal. Hey, it's the end of the year. I've barely got anybody in my agency. I better get my butt to work. It's the lifeblood of your agency. It has to be constant and continuous. Pipelines are going to dry up fast. If you ever worked for a little while and watch your pipeline dry up fast because you didn't replenish it, you understand what I'm talking about. You need to treat recruiting as all the time, not once in a while. If you do it once in a while, you're scrambling, you're destined, you're inconsistent. And once again, panic management comes in. You make terrible choices from panic management. By always keeping your eyes open for talent at church, community events, LinkedIn, referrals, whatever it might be, you ensure a constant flow of potential partners. That's all you need, a constant flow. Think about an assembly line. If you always got products coming off that assembly line, you've always got the ability to make sales. Here, same thing here. If you've always got potential partners in the loops of communication, in your funnels, in the CRM, then you have the potential to bring them in. Recruiting should become a daily habit. If it does, you're going to have some good things happen for you and your business. Build recruiting into your daily rhythm, 2 to 3 outreach messages every day. Notice I did not say 2 to 300. You can scale up to that, but you can't do 2 to 3. You're not going to be able to do 50, 100, or 200. So start small, get into consistent activity. That's going to build self-confidence, also going to build your ability, help you master the art of communication. The more messages, the more conversations, the more discovery calls you have, the better that you're going to get at recruiting. At least one short recruiting conversation and be constantly asking yourself, who do I know that should hear this? Who do I know that if I became 5 years later, if I'm sitting with tens of millions of dollars in equity or whatever it might be from doing this business, looking back, who should I have invited into this opportunity? It's not your job to convince or sell people, but it is your job to offer. And that's the biggest thing you need to understand. Over time, these small daily actions create massive pipeline. And the pipeline will get you away from overvaluing an individual prospect or lead. If you have enough leads, you're just sorting them. If you have very few leads, you almost feel like, hey, I got to close these people because this is all I've got to work with. Power of compounding. We always talk about compounding in terms of money for our clients, but let's talk about the compounding effect of consistency in recruiting. Recruiting compounds just like investing. Day one, small conversations feel like nothing. Week four, you planted dozens of seeds. Month 6, some of those seeds are now producing business partners. If you're constantly stuck just having small conversations that feel like nothing, and you do in and out, in and out, in and out, start, stop, you don't get to week 4. You don't get to month 6 with the same type of results as we're talking now. Consistency produces momentum, and momentum is what separates the average recruiter from the top builder. We have an opportunity where the top builders will build agencies, capture equity. I mean, this is a life-changing opportunity for you guys if you allow it to be. Beyond the sign up, recruiting is a long-term game. What does that mean? Well, it means that recruiting doesn't end at the contract. Too many agents say, once they sign, I'm done. I'll just see what happens, start catching my override spreads and equity off of them. But that's where the actual real recruiting begins. A signed contract without engagement is a wasted recruit. Doesn't matter how talented they are, how motivated they are. If you don't do your job on the front end, getting them off to a quick start, helping them get trained, supported, coached, mentored, you've wasted that recruit, which means you're wasting your time, which means you're wasting your money. Your job is to help them take the first steps, build confidence, and integrate into a culture that really creates independence. And once that independence is created, they're going to pay it forward. You have enough agents that you help create independence. You have enough agencies that you've created from that independence. You're going to make a tremendous lifestyle in terms of financial freedom that you can start to do whatever it is that you want to do with the money. Hopefully it's good things. And you got to keep going. You got to extend it into the weeks and the months. Once again, guys, this is extremely important. Not the people that refuse to do anything, but the people that are trying to make it happen. Mentorship, check in regularly, provide encouragement, guide them through the first wins. In the beginning, we have to celebrate the small victories because there's no large victories. Part of your job is to be that cheerleader in the beginning and help them understand the stair steps to victory. Training, ensure they attend the team trainings. Hey, where are you? Did you watch the recording? Did you catch that master class? Whatever it might be. Learn the scripts, practice the presentations, and then accountability. This is what everybody hates, but you need to help the right people with accountability. The right people will embrace accountability. The people that hate accountability think they're too cool for accountability. That's a red flag leading indicator. They're not going to be successful here. Help them set realistic weekly goals for calls, presentations, follow-ups. If you don't have metrics for them to try to hit, what are they doing? Probably nothing. Hold them accountable to these. And then reduce the attrition through early development. Early development will help you sort people further, identify the people that are trying to make it happen, and invest more time in those people, cut off the other people. They circle back around. I want to do it at a later time. That's great, but that's 100% up to them. Early wins create belief, help new recruits close their first client or their partner quickly. It proves the system actually works. Small successes compound. Celebrate progress, even if it's something as small is just booking a first appointment. Now, with where I'm at in my business, booking a first appointment doesn't mean anything to me. It's a natural course of what I do. But if I was brand new and it's my first appointment, you better believe you take time to celebrate that. Great job. This is first of many. You have to be the cheerleader. You have to be the person that pushes them up the mountain, not pulls them. You're not pulling people, but you're help pushing. Retention is cheaper than replacement. And that is something that you guys, if you take away anything from the training, take this away. Retention is cheaper than replacement. Every recruit you keep saves you from the effort of recruiting 3 or possibly 10 or 20 more. Platforms, messages, and communication. Best platforms for recruiting. It's going to be wherever you're finding success. These are just examples, but LinkedIn is a powerhouse for recruiting. It is the best for professional credibility, networking with licensed agents, and reaching decision makers. It's great for posting authority, building content, sending direct messages. I always say if I can only have one platform and had to get rid of all the rest of my platforms for business, I'll take LinkedIn and I'm good without the rest of them. However, we do have the rest of them. So Facebook, strong for warm and common market, friends, acquaintances, referrals. The groups are also great. I've been encouraging Alana to join a lot of female entrepreneur, female business, female financial wellness groups that are run by females. Get in with those people and see how you can help them and we can all help their clients. The groups and personal pages are excellent for soft touches and story-based posts. And then networking groups, Chamber of Commerce, BNI, local business meetups, industry-specific associations. All of these things are going to be pick and choose. It's a buffet style. You pick what you want and you pick what's going to work best for you. I'm not forcing you to go into networking groups. Do it if you want, but find something that you're comfortable doing, that you're good at doing, that's getting results, and really hammer it. And then referrals. No matter on the client or partner side, referrals are still the gold standard. You got people out there that are building huge agencies and huge books of business just on referrals. If you're not asking for referrals, you don't know the right way to ask for referrals, the right moment in time to ask for referrals, you're probably not getting them. Still the gold standard. Every recruit you bring in knows others who may be a fit. Leveraging introduction saves time and builds trust. You need to have tailored messages. What does that mean? Value-driven invitations. Highlight what's in it for them. Not long, not boring, not full of information. Growth, income, impact are examples. Your direct messages now need to be almost like text messages. Example, help agents add another income stream without disrupting their current business. Curious if you'd like to know how. Avoid the hype and the pressure. This is not a pitch. It's not a lottery ticket. It's a business opportunity. Stay away from language like get rich quick or once in a lifetime. That lowers your credibility. That lowers your status. And that means that the other person on the other end of the conversation now has the power position. And then learn to master your tone. Don't be pushy. Position yourself as a partner offering a potential fit, not as a recruiter chasing people down. Templates. And once again, guys, this is going to be something that you find that works for you. These are just examples. These aren't things that I say, hey, these are things that you should use and only use. These are things that are ideas to get the mind kind of stewing with, hey, what's going to be the best place for me in terms of a message, in terms of a platform, in terms of positioning myself. So LinkedIn connection requests, hi, I work with agents and advisors on growing their business through education-based strategies. Thought it'd be great to connect. Almost like a text, right? Facebook direct message. Hey, I know you're always looking for ways to expand your business. We've been working on something that helps agents add more revenue without extra hours. Would you like to learn more? Networking conversation opener. What do you enjoy the most about your current work? Sometimes it's absolutely nothing. Have you ever thought about ways to add more residual or equity income on top of what you're already doing? W-2 is extremely, they think it's safe, but it's an extremely risky place to be because they're not in control. So people are starting to understand that, but they don't know how to take for their W-2 mentality they've been doing for so many years and create the entrepreneurial bridge. We help with that. We champion the cause of part-timers. Don't ever forget that. And the referral ask is, who do you know in your network that might be open to an additional income stream or learning more about financial services, whatever it might be? This is the most important skill set that you will ever, communication is important, but I think knowing when to disqualify and not hanging on somebody that's not a fit is extremely important. This will save you time, energy, resources. Sign someone is not a good fit. Not every prospect is worth your time. The earlier you identify the red flag, sometimes I identify it in 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 2 minutes, that's great. If you identify in that period of time, you spend another 20 talking with him just because you don't want to be rude, you're doing a disservice to them and you. You're wasting both of your times. The faster you can redirect your energy, the better. Common signs include lack of follow through. They miss the calls. They cancel meetings repeatedly or fail to complete the simple step. If you can't do simple steps, how are you going to do complex steps? So, learn to read those leading indicators, learn to read the situation, and learn how to disqualify. Negative attitude. This really drains me. I hate to be around people that have a negative attitude or always bitching, complaining about something because it's work, guys. It's entrepreneurship. You got to raise up yourself. You got to raise up other people. They're complaining about the opportunity. They're blaming others for their failures. Or approach everything with skepticism. They have that fixed mindset. You're looking for people with a growth mindset. Misaligned values. They're chasing the fast money. They don't care about the clients, the mission, or building something long term. Gary Vee once says sometimes you have to get rid of your best salesperson if they're the rotten apple. No desire to learn. They resist training, mentorship, or accountability. If they're willing to learn, you can't stop them. If they're unwilling to learn, there's nothing that you can do to help them. Why it's better to move on quickly. I think you probably understand this, but time is your most valuable resource. Chasing those low potential recruits drains your time, drains your energy, and you could invest both that time and that energy into someone who actually has a chance that will succeed. One bad recruit can poison the entire culture. Getting that one, mark on the wall or your spreadsheet or whatever for a new recruit, if it's the wrong person, that negativity spreads. Positivity can spread, negativity can spread. That negativity spreads, it can potentially harm your team's environment. You need to protect that team environment. That's your family. This business is your baby. Act and react accordingly. And then momentum matters. By letting go of those who aren't moving forward, you keep your pipeline fresh and energized. Focus on the high potential recruits. Identify the traits of winners. Go back to that character traits. The hunger to win, the humility, the coachability, the consistency, all of those traits we identified earlier in our training. Focus on high potential recruits. Spend your time with where you're going to get the greatest return. If you're investing your money and you have a couple of different opportunities, you have A, B, C, and C is the greatest possibility for the greatest return. Well, you have to take a look at it, right? 80% of your effort should go into the 20% of recruits who are showing commitment. Might be even 90-10 in our industry, right? But whatever it is, understand the numbers and then understand how to invest your time into the right places for an accurate and profitable return. Keep the door open, but don't just sit on it. Sometimes the timing isn't right and they can come back. Sometimes the timing's never right for them. But if you bring those people in, you're wasting their time and your time. Step back politely, let them circle back later if and only if they're truly interested. And let's wrap up this training and let's talk about some calls to action. Let's motivate you guys to take this training and really take it from training and learning and implement it into the marketplace. Recruiting is not a gamble. So we open this training with that age-old question. Is recruiting a gamble? Can you build a legitimate agency off recruiting? Can it build a real business? Reinforce that while recruiting feels like a gamble for most people, it doesn't have to be. So you can talk to your agents. Yeah, for a lot of people, it is a gamble, in and out of our industry, but it doesn't have to be. With structure, consistency, and a clear process, you can dramatically improve your odds. Recruiting is a skill. It's not luck. It's not the dealer dealing you a couple cards, win, lose, or draw. It's about systems. It's not about chance. Stack the numbers in your favor. Recruiting will always be a numbers game, but you can influence that outcome by improving your messaging, using the right platforms, following up consistently, and onboarding these people with purpose. The better your system, the higher your conversion rates, the more money you will make, your partners will make. And if you guys are making money, that means we're servicing clients, which means we're going back to our mission, helping them beat the banks, helping them win the money game, helping them get rid of debt, helping them accumulate assets, helping them protect their estate. We've got a whole plan here. And that means if you're making money, that plan of action is helping other people with their individual financial plan. Call to action, guys. What do we want to do? One change this week. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. Choose one specific improvement to make your recruiting this week. Example of changes. Refine your LinkedIn messaging. Commit to 10 outreach messages per day. Improve that follow-up rhythm. Create a better onboarding touch point. Notice I said concentrate on one. You can't fix everything at one time. If you concentrate on one thing and then fix that, and then go to the next thing and fix that, before you know it, you're going to fix everything. It's just like handling objections in the client's sale. You pick them off individually. When there's no objections left to rebuttal, you should have a close. Same thing here. Once you get through everything and fix them one by one, you should have everything fixed, and you can teach other people how to do the same. Leads, prospects, partners, it's all the lifeblood of your business. You have to keep your heart of your business pumping. If the heartbeat is not going, if it's not pumping blood out, that person is dead. Same thing with your business, from using it as a business analogy. Recruiting is the lifeblood of building an agency. When you do it right, you're not just building a team, you're building a legacy, you're building a business, and you're building a lane that will become a lane for freedom for yourself and other people. Final thing we want to go over today is don't just let these trainings go one ear in one ear and out the other ear. Implement what you've learned and go out and make it happen, because what you're going to find out over X period of time as you start to make this stuff happen, now you're in the position to coach and mentor other people, which means you're in the position to grow and scale national distribution in the insurance and financial services industry, which is a multi-trillion-dollar industry.